What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hail Mary. This is episode number 21. I didn't think we would actually make it this far, but here we are. And it was a very good week for football. We did have baseball as well, but everything that we are going to talk about this week is all about football because, let's be honest, that's really all people care about, to be honest. So, a lot happened this week in college and in the NFL. We had some big games, big upsets. We had some big firings. We had some really terrible games in the NFL. We have some terrible teams in the NFL. And then we had the Kansas City Chiefs being the Kansas City Chiefs. So I want to start off, and we're going to talk about college football because we're just going to go down the list and talk about how things went in order. But before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to Underdog and Sleeper. If you sign up for Underdog and Sleeper using the code HMM, you're going to get yourself a deposit match. So if you play like $5, you're going to get $100 instantly. Plus, you're going to get yourself a free 0.5 gimme pick. So, like for tonight, you can get Josh Allen. He only needs to throw for 1 yard. You can get Bijan Robinson. Only needs to rush for 1 yard. It's literally like free money. So, when you sign up for Underdog and Sleeper using the code HMM, get yourself a deposit match, and you're going to get yourself a free gimme pick. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, myself. Check out hailmary.media. That is our latest website. We wrote a blog yesterday talking about how bad the Cleveland Browns were, and it's actually blowing up, and I'm actually very happy about that. But yeah, if you want to read our latest blogs and check out all of our content, go to hailmary.media, go check out everything like that, and then we're also on every other short-form platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. We're everywhere. You guys know. You've heard the spiel before. But yeah, shout out Underdog, shout out Sleeper, and shout out myself. All right, yeah, this was a very big week for college football. It was like huge for all these ranked teams. We had a ton of ranked teams lose. So let's just go through. We had Oregon. They ended up losing to Indiana. We had Ole Miss. They struggled. They didn't lose, but they struggled versus Washington State. Texas beat number 6 Oklahoma. Alabama and Missouri went back and forth. Alabama ended up winning. Texas Tech got a big win. Georgia got a win, which that game was something else. Who else lost here? Michigan, number 15. They got destroyed by USC. We had Utah wiping the floor with number 21 Arizona State. Iowa State lost to Colorado. And then we had Pitt beating Florida State. This was a crazy week for ranked teams. And the biggest thing that I want to talk about from all of this, not two. There are a bunch of big games. So let's just talk about it first. Indiana knocking off Oregon. And I got to give a huge apology to Indiana. They beat Illinois like 63-0 or whatever it was. And I thought, hey, this is a big win. I didn't think Illinois was all that. Ohio State ended up whomping Illinois. I didn't think Illinois was all that, though. Indiana, just destroyed them, mopped them. And I said, hey, when they have to play Penn State and when they have to play Oregon, they're probably going to end up losing Indiana. Indiana walked into Eugene, walked into Austin Stadium, and beat Oregon. That's something that Ohio State didn't even do last year. And I understand that this Oregon team is not as good as the team last year, but that is very impressive. Indiana walking into Oregon and beating them not just by a score, they beat them by 10 points. I didn't think that this Indiana team was going to be this legit. And I actually, like I said, whenever I was talking about them before, I thought that their non-conference schedule was going to hurt them because I thought, hey, they beat up on Illinois, but they're going to end up losing to Penn State and they're going to end up losing to Oregon. So their non-conference schedule where they played like Kennesaw State and absolute nobodies, I thought that was going to hurt them. I really did. But we're learning that this Indiana team is legit. So Kirk Cignetti, everybody who plays for Indiana, hey, huge apology to you guys. I didn't think that you were going to be able to walk into Oregon. Not even you play them on your home field. You walked into Oregon and gave them the beatdown. This is a team that just beat Penn State. Now, we're going to talk about Penn State. That's our next topic of the week. I love it. But yeah, hey, seriously, Indiana is legit this year. Do I think that they are capable of beating Ohio State? I don't. I think Ohio State this year, and again, this is biased. I am an Ohio State fan. I do think that this Ohio State team this year could potentially be better than last year's team that won the national championship. But this Indiana team is so much better. There are a ton of SEC teams. I know that the big talk is who's better, SEC or the Big Ten. There are a ton of SEC teams that I think that this Indiana team is beating. I feel like the only ones that they would maybe struggle with is like Alabama and Texas A&M. I think other than that, I think Indiana can beat any other team in the country right now. That is the most impressive win of the week. Walking into Oregon and getting a big W. So huge apologies, Kirk Cignetti, everybody who plays for Indiana fans. I had a guy comment on my one of my latest podcast episodes. Was like, hey, thank you for shouting out Indiana, but what makes you think we won't beat Oregon? And straight up, I just thought like, hey, Oregon is much more talented than you guys. Looking at your non-conference schedule, I didn't think you'd be able to get it done. No, they absolutely proved me wrong. So I got to put my hand up on that one. Indiana, super impressive, just dominating. And yeah, just they're going to make it to the college football playoff. I can see them making a semi-deep run in the playoffs. It obviously depends on matchups and stuff. I still can't see this team winning a national championship though. There are teams that are just much better than them. I do think Alabama's still better than them. I do still think Texas A&M is better than them. Ohio State's better than them. There are teams who are obviously better than this Indiana team. And while Oregon is taking a step back, they were still ranked number 3. Oregon is still one of the toughest places to play in all of the country. Big win for Indiana. Just congratulations to them. That craziness. The other big game this week, another big game, I should say, was the Red River Shootout, Red River Rivalry, whatever you want to call it. Texas versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma didn't even look like they wanted to be on the field. I don't know what. I understand that John Mateer is hurt and his thumb's all messed up, but then at that point, why are you even playing him? I know that this is a huge game, that you want to beat Texas and you want to have your guys out there. John Mateer looked like he never played quarterback before. He looked pedestrian. Like, this is a guy that everyone thought was going to be in the Heisman conversation after he put up huge numbers on Michigan and and he looked terrible in this game. Didn't score a single touchdown. And the most annoying thing that came out of this was Texas fans. Because Texas fans are like, aha, look, we're back. Oh, look how good we are. And you guys said we couldn't beat anybody. Honestly, like, Oklahoma was ranked number 6. I still don't think you beat anybody. I really don't. Because you played Florida, got whomped by Florida, played Ohio State, and got whomped by Ohio State. And this is a huge win for a Texas program. I understand that this is your rivalry game. I understand that this is a game that you have, you'll want every single year. I am not discrediting that whatsoever. But to say that you are fully back and that you're going to make a push in the SEC and you're going to make it to the college football playoff and win the national championship because you beat up on an Oklahoma team whose quarterback's thumb is basically hanging off of his body, you held him in check. That's good. I still don't think Arch Manning is all that impressive. And let me look at the rest of Texas's schedule because, yes, you won this game. You're going to beat Kentucky. You're going to beat Mississippi State. You have to play Vanderbilt, which is a very good team. You have to play at Georgia, which you are absolutely, I think, losing that game. You have Arkansas, which you'll win, and then you play at versus Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is one of those teams that is humming right now. I think there are 3 more losses left on this schedule for Texas. Maybe 2. I could see you potentially beating Vanderbilt, but the way that Vanderbilt looks, I mean, they had a hard-fought game versus Alabama. Vanderbilt could easily beat you guys. So let's pump the brakes on Texas is all the way back right now. I am not going to discredit the fact that you beat the number 6 team in the country. They, in my opinion, no. So, yeah, Texas is not all the way back, and I can already see their fans being like, well, we beat the number 6 team in the country. We should be ranked number 6, right? Absolutely not. Again, I'm not trying to discredit your win. It's a huge win for you guys. Big win. Arch Manning is still not the guy. And, For some reason, every sports media analyst under the sun that I follow goes to Texas, and I have to hear the, ha ha, I told you so. Look at that, Arch Manning, look, big win. Go beat Ohio State. Go try to get redemption versus Florida, a Florida team that got whomped by Texas A&M, destroyed by Texas A&M. So I don't want to hear it, Texas fans. You guys still aren't a very good team. And then the final game that I want to talk about before we talk about Penn State, because this is a juicy story. Michigan got ran out of the building by USC. Not even close. 31-13. Number 15 Michigan goes down, gets destroyed by USC. And honestly, this is a plea to the Big Ten, to the NCAA. We should just start letting Michigan cheat again. I mean, look how bad this team is when they're not allowed to cheat. And the best was everything going on Twitter, because Michigan fans were like, you guys are saying that the cheating did, you guys are bringing up all the cheating. The cheating didn't even matter. If you look up Michigan's record in their seasons before they cheated, during when they cheated, and now after they got caught cheating, yeah, the cheating absolutely helped. And they are now paying, they have like the biggest NIL budget on the planet. They're paying, Dave Portnoy is shilling out $20 million to Bryce Underwood, who is smiling on the sidelines while his team is getting booty dick down by USC. This guy don't care that he's losing because that NIL check is cashing right now. This guy knows that, hey, Michigan sucks. I'm going to make $20 million this year. I could just transfer and go somewhere else because I got $20 fucking million. I could go to a school that's actually going to win. I could go to Texas when they get rid of Arch Manning. I could go to LSU, which LSU kind of sucks, but I could go back to LSU where I was poached from. NIL is not the problem in college football. You still need a competent coaching staff. Sharon Moore is not a good coach when he doesn't have Connor Stallions in his corner to help him cheat. And this is a plea to the Big Ten and to the NCAA, because college football is better when Michigan is good. Do I love watching Michigan get absolutely wiped off the face of the planet? Yes, I do, because I'm an Ohio State fan. But at the end of the day, college football is better when they're playing well, because then you get a big matchup at the end of the year, Ohio State versus Michigan. Just start letting them cheat again. I mean, they are not even a competent football team. Their quarterback, who is making $20 million this year, is on pace to throw 10 touchdowns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. $20 million. This guy is getting paid $2 million for every touchdown that he's going to potentially score this year. NIL is not the problem with college football. You still need a competent coaching staff, and you still need players who actually care. And it seems like Bryce Underwood does not give a shit. He didn't want to go to Michigan. He wanted a paycheck. And hey, good for him. I am not one of these rah-rah, get rid of NIL. These kids shouldn't be making money. These kids should make every last freaking dime they can. And I don't blame Bryce Underwood whatsoever for going to this shitty school. I don't blame him whatsoever for stealing $20 million from Dave Portnoy. I don't blame him whatsoever. He's going to get his paycheck, and then he's just going to transfer out. That's just what you do. Quinn Ewers did it to Ohio State, got his paycheck, left. That's the new wave of college football. I don't hate it whatsoever. My biggest takeaway from this, we need to start letting Michigan cheat again. That's 100% it. College football's better when they're good. Now, they did win a national championship by cheating. That's where things get a little too extreme. You can't let them win a national championship. Let them cheat all the way up until the national championship game, and then they have to actually put it all together. It's kind of like, for people my age, if you watch The Fairly Odd Parents, like The Fairly Odd Parents would not let you use your magical wishes to win a competition. It's something like that. So let them have Connor Stallions on the sidelines. Let them cheat the entire year, but then the second they get to the national championship game because of this cheating, it's cut off. Like, they are not allowed to do anything like that, and then we'll see what happens, because then it's going to be like a TCU situation where, yeah. So we should let that happen. We should let Michigan cheat again. College football's better when they can, and yeah, so that's what I propose. because this team is unwatchable right now. And listen, I'm hate watching because I hate Michigan, but we should let them cheat. It's for the best for college football. Speaking of teams that probably need to cheat to start winning, Penn State. Oh my goodness, ding dong, the witch is dead. James Franklin has been fired by Penn State. And honestly, I understand why some fans are upset. I understand why some fans thought it was a bad idea. Me, as an outsider who keeps up with Penn State games because they're in the Big Ten and I keep up with everything Big Ten, this was necessary. I understand that James Franklin won games, that, he beat up on bad teams, not this year, but he beat up on bad teams. He just couldn't get it done during the big game. And if you're Penn State, why are you okay with that? Why are you okay with, yes, you'll get 9 to 10 wins per year, but you're going to lose those big games to Oregon, Ohio State. So this, in my opinion, is necessary. This, in my opinion, is necessary for Penn State because you were never going to get over that hump. This was a year that you guys were pushing all your chips to the middle of the table and going all in, getting Jim Knowles, bringing back all that talent. You thought that Drew Aller was the guy to help lead you. You still had no receivers, and your offensive line was doing you no favors. But this is a necessary thing for Penn State to, I think, make that next jump. Because it wasn't going to happen with James Franklin. And I'm not even saying it's going to happen with the next guy. But with the next guy who's going to be coaching you, you at least have optimism that they could do that they could build their roster. James Franklin, you kind of knew that you were going to beat up on all the bad teams on your schedule, for the most part. You were going to lose to Ohio State. You were going to lose to, Oregon at the time, but you were going to lose to Michigan when they were cheating. You weren't going to be able to win that big game with James Franklin. And yes, $59 million is a lot of money. Yes, you are now going to be in a downtail because after losing James Franklin, all of these recruits were decommitting, and the only big name commits you're probably going to get now are whoever the next coach brings in with him. You know what I'm saying? But I still honestly think that this was necessary for Penn State. You knew what you were getting with James Franklin. You need a guy now who is going to be a different vocal leader in that locker room for that entire program, and just somebody who can get over the hump. When you're coaching at a team like, Illinois, or something like that, or when James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, we'll say it like that. When James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, a 9-3 season was like, holy shit, because you haven't seen that ever. When you're at Penn State, a 9-3 season is a failure because of the history that you guys used to have, winning national championships and being in the Big Ten championship game every single year. So when you're not getting to that point, it's a failure. And you guys need a coach who is able to get you to that next level. James Franklin was not that guy. James Franklin is the type of coach that should be coaching a smaller school than Penn State, and he'll have those, obviously like Vanderbilt, he'll have those seasons where he is playing spoiler, he'll make it to a college football playoff game, and then he'll get whomped. That is his floor. His floor is like the second round of his ceiling is the second round of the college football playoffs. That is his ceiling. His floor is we're seeing getting fired. I'm not saying James Franklin's a bad coach. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you Penn State fans who are upset about him getting fired are wrong, because I get it. You liked him. He won the games that he should have won and whatever. You weren't getting over the hump with him as head coach. You just weren't. So if you were happy with 9-3 seasons, if you are happy just making the college football playoff but not getting anywhere to it, sure, James Franklin's your guy. You had to move on. You had to. Losing to Oregon, fine. I'll give you a pass on that. Losing to UCLA, semi-pass, because you had a hard-fought game versus Oregon. Then you had to go across the country to play UCLA. Sure, I guess I give you a pass. UCLA now is a wonder boy at offensive coordinator. The kid is a fucking genius right now. It's inexcusable to come home and play Northwestern, who right now is worse than UCLA. I get that they beat UCLA, but UCLA right now these past 2 weeks is better than Northwestern. It's inexcusable to lose to Northwestern. It really is. And the excuse I was seeing was, well, our quarterback's out for the year. You guys were losing that game even before Drew Aller was out for the year. It's inexcusable. You can't do that. Like, us as Ohio State fans, Ryan Day could win every single game by 100 points. You lose to Michigan, we're calling for your head, you know? And there's still people calling for his head because, yes, Ohio State won the national championship last year, but they lost to Michigan, and that's the one and only thing that is number one on the slate for the year. Beat Michigan, Big Ten championship game, make it to that national champ, you know? And losing to Northwestern is inexcusable for James Franklin. You have to get rid of him. Your quarterback's out for the year now. It's time for Penn State to try to bring in a coach who is a program builder to build something at the level of an Ohio State. Because it seemed like James Franklin also got too complacent. He saw that, oh, hey, we poached Jim Knowles, so our defense is going to be better. We still have Drew Aller, who I didn't think is a good quarterback, but hey, he liked what he saw, and then put no receiver talent around him, thinking that Drew Aller was going to elevate all of the receivers, but you still need receivers if you have a big-name talent. I think that his messaging and his recruiting got stale. Penn State knew what they were. They weren't a receiver school. They are a defensive school, and they are a running game school. And Penn State, you had to get rid of James Franklin. I think that this was a great move for them. You're going to be on the downwind. You're going to be on a downturn for maybe 2 to 3 years. Hopefully, the next guy you bring in for your sake will be able to figure it out and get you in a national championship picture. James Franklin was never going to get you there, ever. All right, that was a lot about college football this year. Let's move on and let's talk about the NFL. And the fact that if I'm London, if I'm living in London right now and I knew nothing about American football and they trot out the game that they trotted out yesterday, it might be World War III. I think that what we gave London yesterday is grounds for war. We made them watch the New York Jets yesterday. We made the fans in London watch that piss poor game between the Broncos and the Jets. And how does Justin Fields have a negative day passing, an implied passing yards of -10 because of how much he got sacked? I get that the New York Jets are a meme. I get that they are the goddamn Jets. You have to blow it up. You have to blow it all up. Don't get rid of Garrett Wilson because, he's a staple piece to the offense. Everybody else, you got to get rid of. Maybe not even Sauce, but maybe try to get rid of Justin Fields. I don't think anybody's going to want him. Breece Hall, I think, is going to be on the move. Just this Jets team, man. I cannot believe I was exhausted watching that game. And when I mean exhausted, I was so tired. I didn't fall asleep until 4 a.m. So then I woke up at 9 o'clock to watch the game. And I'm sitting there dude, I should be sleeping right now watching this game. It was piss poor. The only reason why I was happy to watch that game was because I had the under. But what we trotted out yesterday for the London game, I'm being dead serious. Donald Trump should come out and give an apology to the entire European Union. He should give an apology to all the games that we sent over. They had to watch Carson Wentz in week number 1 whenever the Steelers played. He had to watch Carson Wentz in week number 2 whenever they played. And now they had to watch Justin Fields in the New York Jets, and they had to watch the Denver Broncos not be able to do anything. A Denver Broncos team that just beat the Philadelphia Eagles last week went out there and barely beat the New York Jets, who had an implied passing yards of -10. What are we doing? I honestly think that the NFL is sending games over to London not to build the game, not to grow the game on a national level. I think we're doing it to deter them from ever making their own football league, because what we're sending over there to make them watch is terrible. And I had people yelling at me because I was like, oh, we had them watch Carson Wentz twice. And they're like, well, Carson Wentz is the backup and they were going to watch J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, that's another problem too. You think J.J. McCarthy's any better? He's not. You were going to have them watch J.J. McCarthy for 2 games, Dylan Gabriel for a game, and then even then they were going to have to watch Joe Flacco for a game, and then they had to watch Justin Fields and Bo Nix put on an absolute snooze fest. This is grounds for war. If I am the EU right now, I am sending a declaration of war to the United States for what we put them through mental hell having them to watch that game. We robbed them blind of their money because they had to watch these games right now. The NFL is not sending over these games to grow the game. They are doing it to deter them from ever making a competitive league. It's terrible. Brazil got a good game. Brazil got the Chargers and the Chiefs, and that actually turned out to be a good game. The games we're sending over to London, oh my God. And then even before then, we were sending over the Jags every single year. So don't tell me that it's just a down year. We were giving them the Jags every single year. There were talks to make the Jags the next team over in London, to relocate them to London. I don't think we have any intentions as a country, as a league, the NFL, to grow football in any other place other than the United States. Because what, are we going to have a Canada game, and it's going to be, well, I shouldn't say the Panthers. It's going to be, well, I shouldn't even say the Cowboys. Cowboys are putting up numbers. Is it going to be the freaking Cleveland Browns versus the Jets over in Canada? What are we doing? I'm surprised that we're not at war right now. That's how bad it is. Speaking of bad, too, the AFC North, other than the Pittsburgh Steelers, why did the Cincinnati Bengals think that they were able to fix their problems with Joe Flacco? And I get it. You had to make some sort of move to save your season until Joe Burrow comes back. But again, Jameis Winston is the number 3 quarterback right now on the Giants. Jameis Winston had a very good year last year for the Cleveland Browns. He had a Jameis year, we'll say, where he threw a bunch of touchdowns and he threw a bunch of interceptions. I feel like that's what the Bengals need right now. They need a gunslinger type guy because regardless of who you're trotting out there, Jake Browning or Joe Flacco, you're probably going to lose the game. So why not have a quarterback who is going to sling the ball? And if you lose, you lose, because you were going to lose anyway, but he's potentially going to win you a game more than Joe Flacco is. What did Jameis do to be sitting 3rd string on the New York Giants? Seriously, the second Joe Burrow got hurt, why weren't they making a call to the Giants and be like, hey, what do you want for Jameis? We'll send you a 5th round pick. It makes 0 sense to me why he is not a quarterback right now. And then also the Cleveland Browns trading away Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel is seriously the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life. And I made a video about this yesterday on TikTok. I had to watch Kenny Pickett play quarterback. When I tell you that Dylan Gabriel is probably the worst starting quarterback I've ever seen in my life, I mean it. He looked incompetent yesterday. He was throwing the ball not when guys were open. He was throwing the guys where in practice they were open. He wasn't throwing it to open guys. He was throwing it to, in practice, air, where, hey, the check down should be wide open here, so just throw, he's looking this and just throwing it. He threw 52 times yesterday and didn't score a single touchdown against the Steelers secondary that honestly isn't really that good. Yes, the Steelers have Jalen Ramsey and JPJ was back, but you still threw 52 times. 52 times and didn't score a single touchdown. And yes, your wide receivers gave you no help whatsoever. But I was also told by Browns fans that, hey, Quinshon Judkins is the new guy, so the Steelers are going to have to load the box to stop the run game. And then that's going to leave the passing game open. I think that if they had Jameis Winston, they're not winning the game. They're scoring a touchdown. A singular touchdown. One singular touchdown. They are scoring. If Jameis Winston is the quarterback right now. One singular touchdown. They score. Because 52 times throwing it, Dillon Gabriel didn't score a single touchdown. And your running game is supposed to be awesome with Quinshon Judkins, and the Steelers are supposed to have to load the box to beat you. And then another team that probably needs Jameis Winston is the Ravens. The Ravens are bad. Even with Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are freaking bad right now. They only scored 3 points. I was told that the issue was the defense, and that, the defense is not scoring any, or the defense is not getting any stops, and that's the reason we're getting blown out in games. Well, you had a game yesterday that your defense looked awesome, and I get that Puka Nacua got hurt. This was a game that your defense looked great. You only gave up 17 points to the Rams. You scored 3. You scored 3 points. Your team would be better if you had Jameis Winston. This is just that Jameis Winston needs to be somewhere in the AFC North segment, other than the Steelers, because the Steelers look great. The Ravens are terrible, and there are Raven fans on Twitter being like, we'll be perfectly fine. Yeah, 1-5. Yeah, we'll still find a way. Yeah, it's not injuries. It's not. Yes, injuries are a part of it, but you were bad in that Bills game. You were bad in the Chiefs game. Terrible in the Chiefs game. Terrible in the Lions game. And yes, those are 3 hard teams. You guys are still terrible. Terrible as a team. Terrible. And then speaking of the Chiefs, huge win last night versus the Lions. I get that the Lions had 6 defensive secondary players hurt. But the offense for the Lions didn't look the best yesterday. Chiefs get a big win. And sadly, they look all the way back. I'm hoping, for my sake, that the Chiefs are one of these teams that, like, they win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game, because they did just lose to the Jags, and they just beat up on the Lions. That fight, though, yesterday at the end of the game, if you missed it, where Patrick Mahomes went to go shake Brian Branch's hand, Brian Branch swatted it away. Juju saw that and tried to shake Brian Branch's hand. And then Brian Branch ended up just beating the absolute living piss out of Juju. Yeah, Brian Branch is catching a sussy for that one. And the other thing I want to talk about is Chris Collinsworth. This will be our final talking point for the day. Patrick Mahomes yesterday scrambled on like a 3rd and 10 and was 3 yards short of the first down marker. Wasn't even close. And he was getting twisted up and banged up on the play. And Chris Collinsworth goes, "Oh, man, what quarterback does that?" Did he not watch Baker Mayfield yesterday on a 3rd and 16 break 2 sack attempts and scramble for a first down? I truly believe that Chris Collinsworth does not watch football outside of Kansas City Chiefs games. And I think the guy sits in the booth, in his own little booth. He's in a booth with a little peephole, and he sits there with a bottle of Jergens, a bottle of red wine, and a box of tissues. This guy should not be allowed within 500 feet of Kansas City Chiefs games. The glazing. My God, that episode of South Park where Randy goes back on the internet after the internet goes down, and you know what's all over. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a South Park fan, that is 100% what happens with Chris Collinsworth when he watches Chiefs games. What quarterback does that? Did you not watch Baker Mayfield literally 2 hours before that? Big win, though, by the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions are absolutely banged up, and spoiler alert, I had the Lions in my GOAT category this week for our NFL rankings, so stick around for Wednesday and see where I put them now, because they're out of that GOAT category. I don't know who's in the GOAT category right now. For those of you who haven't been watching these videos, I do an NFL tier list ranking, and there's one team that goes in the GOAT ranking, and I'm not sure who I want to put there right now. We're going to think about that. But hey, guys, thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Hail Mary. It was very long-winded about college football, but I love college football so freaking much. Thank you guys for listening to this edition of the Hail Mary. Stick around, like I said, watch us do our tier list ranking for the NFL on Wednesday, and we will be back for the podcast on Friday. Talk about everything else that happens in sports. We got some baseball going on. We got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. So yeah, stick around for that. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and that bell notification. Follow us on all of our short form platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts. You know where to find us. Check out hailmary.media. Read all of our latest blogs. It's our website. Check out and see everything that's going on with us. And again, big shout out to Underdog and Sleeper. Use the code HMM. Get yourself a free 0.5 gimme pick and a deposit match. I will see you guys on Wednesday. And if you don't watch that video series, I will see you guys on Friday. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, rate and give us 5 stars and hit that follow button as well. Hey, guys, have a beautiful week. Peace out.